to meet you, and the wind be on your back. May the sun shine warm upon you, and the rain fall gently down.
Hello, welcome back. Today we're at week 43 of the series, and that will cover days 287 to 293. Or if you have the edition of the Road Rising that follows the calendar, then you'd be looking at October 12th to October 18th. The pilgrim and the pastor made it out of the swamp back onto the trail. By that time, Friend had shared his deepest thoughts, and while Pastor McAllen didn't always have answers to his questions, just having the chance to express them was enough to get him on the road to recovery. Finally, the two men part ways. The pastor explained that the section of trail behind them was his ministry, his place of service. Friend continued on, pondering all the things they had talked about and re-examining his understanding of just who God was. And then another point comes in a blackberry thicket. Let me read about it. Day 293, October 18th. Walking along the trail today, I came across a thicket of blackberries, just ripe, ready for eating. Remembering the last such thicket that I had found and the bear who had been too busy eating to notice me until I had become way too close, I called out and then moved in. The berries were sweet and juicy. I could see evidence that I was not the only one who had enjoyed them. Footprints were scattered about, and I wondered if someone from Rendezvous had been here recently. A bird was also helping himself nearby, and when I moved in his direction, he flew off suddenly. But instead of flying clear, he struck another thicket and got caught in its thorny branches. Feathers were flying in all directions, and he chattered incessantly as he struggled to get free. "Hold on there, little guy," I said softly. "You're going to hurt yourself like that." I reached in slowly and as gently as I could took hold of his body and then set about untangling the vines from around his wings. His heart was racing in fear, and I tried to soothe him with soft whispers. "There now. I'll just move that branch over, like that. Okay, now this one needs to come around here." Finally, he was free. I checked him over briefly to make sure nothing was broken. He seemed okay, so I opened my hands and let him take to the air, chattering all the way and not stopping until he was well out of sight. I went back to my own berry picking, enjoying the satisfaction of having done a good deed for the day. Then it occurred to me, it did feel good, didn't it? As long as I was intent on getting the bird free of his misery, I wasn't thinking about my own. Was this part of the healing process, I wondered? If I could get to the place where my thoughts and energies were directed outward, toward helping someone else, then maybe the pain I was holding inside me would have a chance to heal. Maybe that helped to explain Pastor McAllen's dedication to helping guys like me. Perhaps by doing good for others, he's doing good for himself as well. It's an idea worth pursuing. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. "Let us not become weary in doing good. For at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers." For the first time in many days, Friend felt good. And the reason for the feeling came at the chance to help a bird caught in a thicket. What we see here is the beginning of a call. We're going to see this pilgrim moving step by step into more opportunities to reach out and help. Not just birds in a thicket, but people. Like that bird, many of the people he will meet are caught in traps of their own devising. With some degree of pain, Friend can't help but see himself back in that swamp. If it had not been for Pastor McAllen and his willingness to venture into the swamp to rescue the pilgrim, Friend might never have come out of there alive. A part of Friend would be forever grateful to the dedication of that tremendous man of God and grateful for God who sent him. The wheels are beginning to turn in Friend's mind. If such a simple act as freeing a bird from a thicket can give me so much joy, so much healing, what could happen if I reached out to a fellow pilgrim? Indeed. I'd like you to give some thought over the next few days about what God has called you to do. Or think about what God might be calling you to do one of these days. Defining God's call is not always easy. In some cases, people have confused that call with other challenges. Some have decided that God has called them to suffer, and so they choose the routes that will ensure just that. Others take on the Hallmark movie principle and follow their heart. If it feels right, then it must be right. Unfortunately, there are some pitfalls in these ways of thinking. It takes a wise pilgrim to know how to discern and follow God's will. As we follow friend's progress, let's compare his experiences with our own. In the process, you might just discover some helpful tips. Y'all come back now here. The evil man didn't even blink when I jumped down beside Gary. His stare was burning into the young man's eyes. I could see it was having the desired effect. What makes you think you have any right to be on this trail? The evil man was asking Gary. But he didn't wait for an answer. I'll tell you, you have no right.